The story begins in a huge capital called Labyrinth City. The reason for this name is because the city is truly structured like a maze. This city offers many opportunities for everyone to change their lives. Many young people have risked their youth in this dangerous place, but it's also full of dangers and traps. No one knows where this city is leading them or what lies beyond. Moments later, a guy named Nick appears. He's a famous swordsman and a member of an exploration team called the Martial Arts 100, a well-known group in Labyrinth City. Nick is also our main character. He says his life was going smoothly. He had a stunning girlfriend, someone who shared his dream of climbing to the top rank in the exploration team. That's been Nick's wish since childhood. But one fine day, the team leader, August, suddenly kicked him out of the group, leaving him confused. When he asked why, August gave lame excuses like Nick's fighting was weak and that he didn't bring back any money. Nick was shocked and couldn't believe what just happened. He had always seen August as a father figure. Since he grew up without a dad, Nick planned to meet his girlfriend to ease his pain during this tough time. But after learning he was kicked out, she kicked him again emotionally. She said she didn't want to be involved with a nobody. He sat silently dazed in a cafe. Even after she left, he was stunned, realizing she only came to him to get close to the martial arts hundreds leader, and there was no hope beyond that. He chose the path any young man would choose in this situation, locking himself in his room and becoming a true weeb. He began dreaming about the idol intern Algot, pouring all his feelings into her, to forget the terrible things that happened a few months ago, and decided to become her fan. He spent all his time and money on this idol. To understand why he was so obsessed with August, we have to rewind to when his ex-girlfriend just dumped him. He was sitting alone in the rain, wondering why everyone around him left, especially August. At this point, he looked really shabby, pitiful somehow. He recalled a heated argument with August in the past about a team member who stole money for a girl. Nick wouldn't let it go while the leader acted like he's such a pain. August had taken him in and raised him since he was young, and now August kicked him out because he thought he was better than the leader and bossed others around. And now he wasn't a rookie anymore. "Go find a place that suits you," August said, then turned away, staring off out the window. Here, Nick recalls those sad memories and starts sinking into despair. His eyes look so deep, like a hole hundreds of meters deep. Suddenly, a beautiful girl with blue hair holding an umbrella walks through the rain and approaches where he's sitting. A stunning girl, I'm already smitten. She greets Nick, but a man who just lost his job and everything else ignores her. He lazily won't even speak, just waves his hand to tell her to stay away. Seeing this, the blue-haired girl gets a bit annoyed, saying he's chasing her away like a dog. Then she moves closer, trying to encourage him, telling him life still has many valuable things. He says he has nothing more valuable than what he just lost. She then shows him a concert ticket. Introducing herself, she'll soon debut as an idol. An idol's job is to cheer and uplift others, so he shouldn't be shy. She keeps pressing the ticket into his hand. Take it or not, he has to hold it. She tells him to come to the City Hall's South Gate tomorrow. Afterwards, Nick actually goes to the concert and becomes her biggest fan. She's the only light he can use to cover the dark past of being abandoned by those he loved. Now he has someone else to care for. Back in reality, he's a huge fan of hers. His eyes shine with joy supporting his idol. After the concert, Nick even carries a bunch of merchandise with the concert tags back home. His room is filled with her tags, posters, and stuffed animals, all happily arranged. Then he suddenly realized he'd spent all his money with not a single cent left to buy food or clothes, and he couldn't survive in the City of Illusions unless he went back to being an explorer. So the next day, he decided to go to the gathering spot for rookie explorers. He stood at the door, shouting to hype himself up, but everyone around looked at him like he was some escaped prisoner. He wanted to form a new expedition team, not bother teaming up with the old crew just worn down by capitalism, really. He was putting on a brave face, but this time he had a different plan. He didn't want to get close to anyone. Just make money and go back to being a lonely fanboy of his idol with a slightly gloomy vibe hanging in the air. Nick used his eyes like radar to scan for signals on who he should team up with. Far off, someone was standing alone. Looked pretty lonely, huh? He saw a middle school guy and thought about approaching him to invite him to join. But as he got closer, August's voice echoed in his head, calling him useless. No talent for leading a team. Teammates all think he's weaker and worthless. Remembering this, Nick lost his motivation. He didn't want to talk to the guy. August once again put him in a miserable spot without even being there. He sighed inside the bar, feeling like a weirdo all day at the Explorers' hangout. He was frustrated because he still hadn't formed a new expedition team, and on top of that, he realized he'd completely lost confidence after August's last words. Now he just wanted to get revenge on August. But that was impossible since he hadn't found a team as skilled as Bachbon's martial arts level. And he had no hope of making new friends. He just sat alone drinking beer at the bar, not wanting to bother anyone. Watching people around him laugh and chat happily after finding new teams, everyone was having a great time. Suddenly, 3 strangers walked into the bar and all sat at the table. The very table he was sitting at, the last one left in the bar. They sat there in awkward silence. Nick realized these people hadn't formed a team or joined any expedition group yet. His eyes focused on a mysterious girl in purple clothes in the group. She held a magic staff with a crystal on top. Despite her odd appearance, she shone in the room. He didn't know why, but she stood out among them all. He started observing and analyzing each one, guessing who they might be. First was that girl. He sensed she was a mage holding a staff with a blue gemstone. It looked old, but probably valuable. Her clothes screamed rich upbringing. He thought she must have been raised very well. Not only that, but he felt her vibe didn't fit this bar at all. Her aura felt like old-school magic. After she gave someone a sideways glance, he said she was definitely an assassin. The guy sitting across from him seemed like a priest, and he was totally drunk. He wondered if those two girls got him drunk. Looking at the man's collar, he saw an important medal that wasn't being worn. He guessed the man just left a club because he smelled strongly of women's perfume and looked terribly sad. The last person was a half-dragon girl. She was a hybrid of dragon and human clans, but right now, she looked like a wounded beast. Just as he finished analyzing, the waiter brought 4 beers to their table. Nick decided to raise his glass not to anyone else but to himself. He didn't care about August, or his beautiful ex-girlfriend, or even his past as a top-tier explorer. He grabbed the glass, started chugging, then slammed it down hard, yelling he'd never trust anyone ever again. Surprisingly, at the same moment, the other 3 shouted the same thing. How can you trust people? The 4 of them looked up at each other like they'd been best friends forever. So, the story now shifts to their pasts, explaining why none of them could trust anyone anymore. The first story is about a mage girl wearing purple named Tiana. She's kind and adorable. While studying magic at an academy one day, she was practicing spells as usual when the headmaster personally came to talk to her. He praised her for being humble despite mastering every magic element in the world. He told her to be proud, because she's the student with the strongest magic in the whole academy, castaring both water and wind elements to cast spells. Hearing these compliments, she felt very happy inside and left joyfully. Proud of her achievements, she floated off to a nearby restaurant. Upon entering, she asked the receptionist if her fiancé Alex was inside. The receptionist shyly replied yes, but added that he was with another girl. Tiana didn't listen and walked straight in without warning. The receptionist hesitated, but couldn't stop her. Upstairs, she found her beloved fiancé sitting with another girl named Lynn. She sat down and excitedly told him how the headmaster praised her as the best mage in the academy and that she was the only one at her age who could use lightning magic. But Alex ignored her and started spreading false rumors about her in front of everyone. Alex acted disappointed with Tiana and went further, harshly accusing her of bullying others because they're commoners. Not only that, he said she seduced teachers to get extra points and top scores on every test. The headmaster was also one of her supporters. Those words made Tiana furious because they were baseless rumors he made up himself. She was shocked by the gossip about her. It's true what they say, people can say anything with a smooth tongue. She told them to stop right away, but Alex wouldn't listen and said he felt humiliated that she had stronger magic than him, even though she's just a woman. Turns out this guy is the legendary kind one in a million sperm to make a masterpiece that stirs hearts. If he disses you, just leave it to me. He couldn't believe that a woman could be better than him in every way and hated Tiana deeply because of it. He was even more bitter because she was his girlfriend. Alex continued to slander and insult her with baseless rumors, then dumped her right there, saying Lynn was a better match for him. Alex declared it was all over. Those were the days he was humiliated by her, and the engagement between Tiana and Alex would be broken off. The engagement was canceled, ending the relationship completely. I think Tiana was lucky not to marry that jerk Alex. Later she found out those two got engaged. She was even more shocked to realize her engagement with that guy was arranged for family benefits set up by them. After hearing she was dumped by Alex, her father and others in her family saw her as a disgrace for failing to keep the engagement. She was shunned by her family and kicked out of the mansion she'd always lived in with nowhere else to go. Tiana had no choice but to leave the city. She went to the house she would have lived in after marrying Alex. She realized how lonely and lost she was. After being betrayed by both family and lover, all just because she was a mage, who was too talented and always outperformed others, making people jealous for no good reason. Tiana's eyes began to glow with bitterness, and she vowed never to trust anyone again. This scared others a lot. They never dared to look her in the eye. If they did like this young waiter, they'd freak out and jump back. Because her gaze was full of pure hatred for the world. She didn't know what was wrong and tried to smile more, but her face froze in this grim expression. Because in her eyes, there's always hatred for the whole world. She doesn't know what's wrong and has tried smiling more, but her face is frozen in this gloom. Ever since the day her lover and family betrayed her. After a while, Tiana ran out of money like a kid and couldn't ask her noble family for more support. So she decided to look for a job, but everyone rejected her, didn't want to hire her. Feeling disappointed on her way home, a horse racing flyer landed at her feet. It promised she could make a lot of money, super fast by betting. So she tried and won her first bet, but then kept betting on many more rounds. Because of this addiction, all her money was gone. She went home feeling extremely sad and disappointed in herself. The next day, she went out again looking for a chance. This time, she found a flyer for an amateur explorer club. And that's how she ended up at this bar. After hearing the story, Nick turned to ask the young priest, "Why did you come here?" He introduced himself as Jem from a famous city. Before life pushed him into a maze, his old city had a grand temple for the gods, and he was a cleric there. Everyone loved him for his kindness, care, and thoughtfulness towards others. There was also a young noble girl named Miri, treated like a princess. She often brought him herbs for medicine. Jem praised her skills and gave her a coin. The girl was really happy to receive the gift. One evening while he was making medicine from herbs, Miri brought him more herbs and he thanked her. Suddenly she grabbed his hand and asked, "Do you like me?" He was surprised by her sudden confession but quickly replied she was too young, and told her to find someone her own age. As a beloved cleric of the city, church law forbade him from having a relationship. He told her to go home before it got too late, and not to fall in love too early. She should focus on herself, not on him. She got annoyed hearing this, and started using harsh words against him. Then she began plotting revenge for his rejection. She started by ruining his reputation as a cleric. The next day he was working as usual, discussing becoming a high priest with the townspeople. Everything went smoothly until soldiers suddenly burst in to arrest him. Miri's revenge plan succeeded, and she set everything up herself to make him pay. She lied that Jem had approached her with bad intentions, and because he habitually gave her a coin whenever she picked herbs, she claimed it was payment for immoral acts. After getting her revenge, the girl was satisfied, while Jem felt very disappointed and discouraged. Though innocent, he was locked up for 3 months. In prison, he endured harsh words from guards and wardens. After being released, he was expelled from his own city. On his way out, Jem didn't dare to look up once. Everyone cursed at him and threw food and eggs. With nowhere to go, he stayed temporarily at a friend's house, who didn't know what had happened. She let him stay one night. They shared an intimate night, and the next morning, she made breakfast for him. She advised him to go to the maze city and become a true explorer. Travel everywhere so he could temporarily forget the terrible things that happened to him these past 3 months. She said he should leave this place and start a new life. He should make friends, fall in love, and change his pace sometimes to experience life. He was still young and extremely talented, deserving to keep chasing his dreams and ambitions. She said he could prove his talents in another city. Then she pulled out a bunch of items left by a guest the night before. These were all explorer gear, which could help him train his skills since he was originally just a cleric. So he accepted her advice and tried to forget he was once a noble cleric. Now he drowned himself in booze, youth, and women. Nick wasn't sure if they were telling the truth or just drunk babbling. Nick wanted to prove he wasn't lying, so he demanded to go to the Demon Lord's lair in the Maze City, then kill him to claim the reward. Nick thought he was just drunk babbling, so he didn't pay much attention to what he said. He then turned to the Long Clan girl named Karen and asked why she ended up on this path. She began explaining she lost something incredibly important, and the one who took it was the person she least expected. But since she was so drunk, she couldn't tell the full story, instead rambling about trivial things in her life, then downing a few more beers. Suddenly, Nick fell straight into a dream and woke up at Tiana's house the next day. He thought meeting those fellow adventurers with similar fates last night was just a dream. But then he saw them standing right in front of him and remembered everything from last night. None of them knew how they ended up at Tiana's place, since they were just strangers passing by, not even teammates. Tiana politely told them to leave. The others left her house without any objections. As everyone was about to go, Nick suddenly stopped and started giving encouraging words, boosting their spirits like how idle Agnes once did for him. He said if none of the 4 could trust anyone else, then they should trust each other and help take revenge on the traitors who put them in this terrible situation. The others agreed, since they had nothing left to lose. Then the group headed to the Adventurers Guild to register their team and met an old lady at the reception. She recognized Nick, since he used to be a member of the famous backband martial arts group. She also revealed one of them had an incredible survival skill, having survived the level C maze. Then she pointed directly at the person she meant, the Long Clan girl, Kulin. She blushed and admitted she did survive the level C maze. The group was very proud of Cullen. The old lady then asked what name they wanted for their adventurer team. Nick took the lead and named the team the Survivors. Then they had their first meeting, where Nick laid out 3 basic rules so the team could function smoothly. No one was allowed to break these 3 rules. The first was no one should look down on Soul, another member's hobbies. The second was they must always watch the team's finances. And the last was they must survive and return from every expedition. That said, someone still needed to take responsibility for managing things. After stating the rules, Nick offered to be the team's financial manager. Under Tiana's supervision, Cullen would be the treasurer and James would guard the safe to make sure the treasure inside wouldn't go missing. Because trust had been an issue before, people started to object, saying Nick would benefit the most since he could control the team's finances himself. The 4 then began discussing a more important matter, how they could trust each other. Nick said he would prepare a super secure safe, a magician's trick to steer things in his favor by assigning tasks to each member. Jem praised Nick as a very thoughtful thinker. He himself had deeply learned from the backbend martial arts group. Their blindly trusting without communication isn't trust. Trust means recognizing each other's integrity. The meeting ended there. The next day, the team set out on their first expedition mission. Their task was to explore the level G maze, called Nim Tui Quang. As a rookie team, they still had to pass through 2 more mazes and defeat all the Soul bosses inside to be promoted to level F adventurers. Nick explained it sounded tough, but was actually easy, since these mazes were designed for amateur adventurers to train and better understand how mazes work. This was Tiana and Jen's first real combat experience, so please lend a hand. Tiana said she thought what she learned at school, you can't just close your eyes and expect it to work. Nick reassures them that no one can die inside here. Cullen warns that being careless is still risky. They venture deeper and encounter a small Slim, the first monster they have to kill. At first glance, this little slim looks harmless and pretty cute, but it's an omnivore that eats anything around it. The more it eats, the bigger it gets, and sometimes they grow so large they can swallow a farmer and his cow whole. But he also shows them how to easily take down this little slim. They just need to pull the stone out of its body. Everyone admires that move. Then the group continues deeper into the maze. Jen jokes that joining this team is a huge gamble for Tiana. But Tiana accuses teacher Nick that Jen is breaking rule number 1, interfering with other people's interests. Nick thinks to himself that starting this expedition team was definitely the right call. Jen says, "It's kind of cruel to kill creatures like this." They start asking him more about other monsters in this G-rank maze. He replies that in here there are only slims and goblins, but in E-rank mazes. E-rank monsters fight each other, with the final boss being the demon god. Every expedition guild fights to win in E-rank mazes. He also warns everyone. Even though the slim is small, it's not harmless and can shoot its jumping substance to attack any time. Tiana ignores this and thinks slims are completely harmless. Nick says if they don't kill them all, the flora and fauna will turn into demon beasts. That's what demonization is. Tiana says if they leave these demon beasts alone, the maze will just keep expanding. Jem wonders why they attack humans. Tiana says contact with demon beasts has been studied since ancient times, but apparently every kind attacks on sight. Suddenly, a slim sneaks up and sprays its jumping stuff in her face, and since she can't see, she steps on another one. She ends up falling right in front of everyone. Oh man, so embarrassing. Nick says slims on this floor can shoot jumping projectiles. Stepping on one causes damage like slipping on a banana peel. Physical damage is 10, but mental damage is 90. She's annoyed she had to blow the alert for the slim for no reason and tries to use magic to kill it, but she misfires and hits Kieran instead. The two girls start arguing. Karen says she can't trust Tiana not to mess up again. Tiana feels really guilty for losing control of her hand. Karen warns Tiana, if she hits them again, she'll breathe fire right in her face. During the fight on the way, the two keep giving each other cold looks. Nick says today's maze battle was just for experience, so there's no need to get so tense with each other. Then the group reaches the top floor of the maze where a giant slim rules. Nick tells everyone this is the final boss of the maze. Before he can explain its strengths and weaknesses, Tiana doesn't hesitate and casts a powerful attack, throwing a huge ice dagger straight at the monster, making it explode and surprising everyone. Luckily, no one gets hurt and the team retrieves the stone from inside it to sell for money. After escaping the maze, Nick takes the chance to redistribute roles among the team members. The team gathers by the riverbank for a private meeting, so Nick begins listing his own strengths and weaknesses. He says he should be the leader in battle situations because he has experience exploring mazes. However, he can't use offensive or healing magic and can't wield heavy weapons like Kieran. Then he asks everyone else to share their strengths and weaknesses so they can trust each other and know their teammates' limits. But they're still strangers, and everyone feels awkward revealing their weaknesses. Nick says they don't have to share weaknesses and understand the limits of their teammates, but they're still strangers, and everyone's reluctant to admit their weaknesses. Nick says they don't have to reveal them right away if they're still hesitant. Nick realizes what everyone here has in common is knowing how to use advanced magic, which is why they don't trust others easily. He's not forcing anyone to open up now and doesn't know how long they'll stay together. But when they're ready, they can share. He's willing to share his own weakness because he knows it's the only way to build trust within the group. That said, Nick still ended by telling everyone to think about their role in the team. Finally, Jem decided to listen to Nick. He said his strength was healing magic, but his weakness was everything else except healing. Then Tiana stood up and went to Kieran, taking the chance to apologize for earlier. She claimed her strengths were water and wind magic. She had strong lightning magic but was terrible at fire magic, which Kieran was very good at. She also emphasized she wasn't skilled in close combat and couldn't use any weapons. Kieran wasn't used to Tiana's kindness and started to soften. Seeing Tiana sit down shivering from the cold, Kieran pretended to sneeze and blew a small fireball to warm the area near Tiana. Then Kieran shyly shouted, "I meant to aim for your face but missed." Tiana told her to aim carefully next time, making the whole team laugh. The tension eased and everyone felt a bit lighter. The group then went deeper into the forest to find the next maze. It was the Little Goblin Forest. Halfway through, they entered goblin territory. Nick started to show off his skills. Seeing Jen struggling to handle a goblin, Nick stepped in to help. Jen said these goblins were tougher to beat than Slim's gang. Nick mentioned they even formed battle formations using simple signs. Nick charged at the goblins and easily took down all of them in under a minute. The team was shocked. Jen couldn't help but say Nick was so strong. Tiana teased Jen for talking too much. Wanting their team to level up quickly, Tiana used her detection magic and found another group of goblins 500 meters away. Jen said using detection magic at such a long range was rare since he also studied various magic types regularly. After that, the group had a big argument because Nick kept hiding his true strength from them. They discovered Nick's weakness. He underestimated himself, or in other words, was super insecure and never let others see his real power. Corin also reminded them that Nick left her with only one goblin to kill him. While they argued, Tiana warned of a huge monosaurus in the forest where the goblins lived. However, it was so strong they suspected it wasn't just a goblin. Nick told the group it might be an ogre or an evolved goblin. Fighting it wouldn't be easy, especially since their team was full of amateurs who could easily die from one mistake. He said the mission to defeat it would depend on him and Corin, since goblins and ogres have strong magic resistance. Nick could only use Tiana and Jen's magic attacks as bait, while he and Corin went in for combos. Slashing the monster with Corin's huge sword gave them a good chance to win. She was the team's only hope. After a while, they reached the monster's lair. A group of goblins surrounded and protected the giant ogre. Corin followed Nick's orders and charged forward with the others behind. She, Tiana, and Jen stayed to the side, using healing and attack magic to distract the monsters from a distance. Nick charged in and killed the smaller goblins. Corin enhanced her sword with fire magic, swung it, and jumped into the air. She spun beautifully and brought the sword straight down onto the ogre, successfully splitting it in two. Then everyone started breaking the goblin's horns. Nick couldn't break one horn, lost balance, and fell into Corin, causing the necklace she liked to fall and shatter on the ground. The story shifts back to the past. Corin was strolling through a flea market. She saw the necklace from before and excitedly asked the price. Seeing the seller ask way too much, she put it back down. She didn't have the money, but the dishonest seller accused her of scratching the necklace and forced her to pay him back. Corin, looking innocent, said she didn't do anything. The shady merchant said, if you're careless, you have to pay. But playing dumb is a bad move. The salesman kept insulting her to scare Corin into paying him. Even though she didn't damage it, she still had to pay. He pretended to be kind, saying, pay half or get arrested. An explorer named Callio stepped in and exposed his dirty tricks. He handed the broken necklace to Corin and told her to scratch it off. Then he gave it back to the merchant, saying he already paid. Without saying more, he pulled out a perfect necklace from his coat. Turns out this old trick was in play, not wanting to report him. The merchant just gave the necklace for free. From that moment, Corin vowed to stay loyal to Callio forever and saw him as her hero. She wanted to repay him by always risking herself in every dungeon they explored. She was very strong. A huge monster like that was sliced in half with just one strike during a mission. She didn't suspect she was being used because of her Dragon Clan blood, however. One day, the person she respected proved she had been too naive before. They were exploring a dungeon then. Callios assigned her to run up and wake the giant snake, then hold it off. The others would use magic to capture it. Things started well, but the snake was stronger than they expected. Corin tried holding it off so the mages could prepare a finishing blow, but it took forever. The snake quickly coiled around her and spat a venomous toxin in her face while she struggled with the giant's poison. She was so weak she couldn't even hold her sword. Callios stepped in, delivered the final blow, and killed the snake after collecting its loot. Callios and Corin's former teammates decided to leave her there, as if her situation wasn't already bad enough. Callios even played her by taking the Dragon King's gem, a sacred heirloom of the Dragon Clan. She was entrusted to guard it with her life. She tried crawling out of the cave. Luckily, she collapsed right outside the inn. After learning Callios had left, she felt like she'd been pumped with 200% strength. She ran up to her room, then back down, and unsurprisingly, Callios had packed up her stuff too. Corin was furious but couldn't do anything. She stood in the pouring rain, angrily tugging the necklace Callios once gave her. But she couldn't bring herself to throw it away. She spent days searching for Callios but found no sign of him. Feeling discouraged, she decided to let it go. She accidentally met Phim Tho, the explorer everyone respected. He had extraordinary strength and was allowed by the Explorer Guild to enter the dungeon alone. Corin admired him deeply. Not only was he famous for his daring, but also for his eating skills. In short, Phim Tho was the reason why. Corin developed an undying love for food. And what better way to forget your sadness than to fill your stomach with food as a reminder? Food can fill your heart better than people. And like Nick or any other poor soul on this earth, she had to earn money to fund her passion. Back to the present. Nick was tearing his hair out trying to find a replacement necklace for the one he accidentally broke when bumping into Corin. This guy was seriously lucky to run into his idol again in the shop. They sat and talked where they first met. Nick shared his problem and she said, don't overthink it, and try to just be a good friend to Corin. Later, Nick ran into Corin at the flea market and learned she wasn't mad about the broken necklace. She even said she loved her current life very much. Compared to before, the group had been promoted to F-rank explorers and started gaining attention from other teams. They wanted to celebrate their first victory together. Right after Winma called them to the Explorer Guild to assign a new mission, they had to enter the Affection Dungeon to retrieve the Holy Sword of Affection. Inside, as soon as they entered the dungeon, they were greeted by a wave of man-made monsters. Corin used her fire to burn them all. They pressed on following the path. The map had already been given by the expedition team, leading to a corridor with only one dim light. Nick decided to volunteer to check around first. After a while, a door opened and they stepped into a large hall. Tiana used her detection magic and told them the place was safe, but she wasn't sure if an AI was interfering with her scouting magic. If so, she was out of luck. Nick was eager to explore right away. Suddenly, the lights flicked on brightly and a strange voice started welcoming them. Everyone looked around and realized the voice was coming from a sword nearby. Nick suspected it wasn't a sword since it had no blade. They all argued about why this sword had no blade. The sword got annoyed with their wrong guesses. It angrily declared itself the legendary sword. It said it was the dear sword the team was searching for. Corin quickly straightened them out. No one was looking for a broken sword, and Jen said they should just let it speak. Interrupting and guessing was exhausting. After a heated argument, it said it would reward explorers who value integrity and friendship. It boasted that it wasn't just a legendary sword, but also a top-tier spirit weapon. While it was bragging about its power, Nick quickly brought it back down to earth since he already had a specialized weapon. Kurin could only use the Dragonbone sword, and Tiana and Jem didn't use swords, so the sword got shocked. It didn't know its fate. Maybe it would drift like a lost leaf. Then Nick and his crew delivered a cold blow. They said they planned to sell it. The sword started cursing Nick's plan. It said it had been unemployed and neglected, tricked by liars in the guild. It felt trapped and pitiful, but whatever, they had to worry about their livelihood first. Nick picked it up, eyes sparkling. $. He convinced everyone that selling it would only buy a few meals. But if they used it to fight, how many enemies would be terrified? It's a sword, not a bomb that blows up and causes real damage. Tiana said if they had enough money, why bother with the maze? That made sense. Things went off track when the security system suddenly alerted them to a golem. A Manma broke through the wall into the hall. It was tall, but also quite agile. It punched the ground, knocking everyone back several meters. The sword immediately warned them that if they didn't kill this monster, the system wouldn't let them pass. Tiana tried throwing shards of ice at it. At first, the shards stuck in the golem's body. So Kurin thought it would work and rushed in to strike, but the monster wasn't affected. It countered by freezing Kurin's sword arm, then stabbed the other shard right into her belly. Seeing this, Nick stepped up and told his team to retreat while he faced the golem alone. He tried slashing it with the sword, but it had no effect. The sword reminded Nick that the golem was resistant to physical attacks, and told him to activate its power and use it to kill the monster since it was a weapon meant for battle. That was its wish. However, even after activating the sword, it refused to connect with him, because of his shallow relationship with the team. Then the monster swung and knocked him into a pit. Zen used magic to boost Tiana's power while she used ice magic to temporarily hold the golem, giving Kurin a chance to rescue him. Captain Nick apologized to Kurin for breaking something precious to her, but she said he didn't need to apologize. She said the broken necklace gave her the strength to move on and forget past pain. At that moment, the sword told him to activate it again, Jem and Tiana. Inside, hugged ready to go to the afterlife, when a supreme entity formed from the fusion of Nick and Kurin rose before them with combined power and skills from both supreme beings and sliced the golem into pieces. After scraping and proving their friendship, they discovered the sword was a fake. But anyway, Winma decided to pay them after all. Lucky that the bad situation didn't get any worse. Things suddenly took a different turn when a kid showed up in the expedition group, introducing himself as Kizuna, the real person behind the Sword of Bonds. So the group welcomed their 5th member. Later, while Tiana was sleeping, she suddenly dreamed of the professor who had supported her before, now demoted because of false rumors spread by her ex-fiancé, Kurin, and Jem. Also woke up abruptly from unpleasant dreams. Nick was startled awake by a dream about his ex-girlfriend. It turned out this was caused by Kizuna's telepathic skill. The group sometimes used this skill to talk with each other. During one expedition, the group encountered a monster, so Kizuna wanted to prove his strength by telling the others to rest while he soloed the beast. He used his double sword skill to create clones and quickly took down the monster. The group praised him so much that Kizuna got embarrassed. Honestly, he said he borrowed their strength and skills using a special ability to use them for himself. He explained he inherited this skill from a previous master who used him. Although they thought he liked to brag, the team agreed he'd be a huge help. While the group took a lunch break, Nixit's eyes widened when he saw the restaurant Karen took him to the same place from his dream with his girlfriend Claudine. Coincidentally, Claudine was there luring her next victim. Seeing this, he stepped in to intervene, preventing another innocent soul from being tainted. Claudine, angry, her plan was exposed, stormed off then, returned to the restaurant and poured a cold beer over Nixit's head. She also brought her expedition team, Captain Leon. She purposely provoked Leon to want to fight Nixit, but Nixit winked at Leon, letting him know she was a gold digger and would leave their team as soon as she got what she wanted. Captain Leon pretended to go outside to fight Nixit. At the alley, he apologized to Nixit and said he'd soon kick Claudine off the team because of the trouble she caused. He started to be interested in working with Nixit and thought he was smart for forming a survival team to exploit the misfits. But Nixit saw through him and punched him to snap him out of it. Soon after, Leon's team ambushed him. But then Kurin struck Leon down from behind. Wilma also joined in, but instead of settling the conflict, she told them to settle things the Explorer way. So, Leon challenged Nixit to a contest called the Math Boxing Tournament. To explain the rules, there are 10 rounds, 2 people from each team fight in the ring, while their teammates solve math problems below. The highest scorer gives their team an attack. This made Kurin hold her head in pain, because she's bad at math and had to face Claudine, a woman who lives to count money. Kurin took a test to see. Her score was really disappointing. A few days later, the group worked hard to help Kurin improve her math. Meanwhile, DM started moving his home into the bar. To be fair among them, he had the most tragic past story, so he deserved to play the villain. But he chose a much healthier way to release emotions than other villains. And it turned out he wasn't just at the bar to vent, but also to gather info on the Iron Tiger team and their illegal activities. Turns out it was all directed by Nixit. Getting tasty treats and info to bring back, that's the best deal ever. A red-haired girl said that even though she knew his tricks, she couldn't expose him like he had eyes in the back of his head. Not letting any slip-ups show, Jen thought their method was to leak info outside, then let the other side fall into the trap. No one has time to plan that much. So he and the group decided to plan to defeat the Iron Tiger team and expose their dirty secrets. Nix had told Curran to just focus on her math and let everyone else handle the rest. Finally, the math boxing tournament began with Nixit and Leon in the ring. While Curran and Claudine sat below solving math problems, Nixit threw a few probing punches but didn't see Leon fight back. Could it be that he's just stalling for time? Curran saw Nixit and Leon trading blows and started to worry. Curran quickly answered all the questions and finished first, which made her really happy. But then her joy vanished when she found out Claudine had answered more correctly. So Leon got a free punch to Nixit's stomach. After taking a punch to the gut, Nixit was hit repeatedly in the face by him for round 2, making Curran start to worry. Nixit comforted Curran from someone who got 80% wrong on the math test to solving it well today. Nixit has only taken 2 punches. Keep pushing forward. Nixit praised Curran, saying she's really amazing. The blonde girl teased Curran, saying she only solved some basic problems, yet still acted all high and mighty. Leon was stalling against, dodging Nixit's attacks until round 3 ended. Searching around, no suspects appeared. So Tiana decided to lure him out. She suggested they let the math solvers finish all remaining questions at once, even if losing meant taking 7 punches in a row. Nixit accepted. Wilma nodded in agreement. And Curran and Claudine faced off for the final round. Meanwhile, Tiana signaled Kazuna and James to search for the culprit. It turned out Bach was telepathically giving Claudine answers. The Iron Tiger expedition team got arrested by the court for cheating and other crimes. This wasn't public yet, and Claudine was also detained for questioning to protect many innocent youths. To avoid heartbreak and financial loss, there was once a group called the Silver Fox Squad. Their leader was Bissot, a genius among the Fox tribe. One day while exploring a maze, that maze was deadly for explorers, but Bissot led the team to grab many treasures inside and became famous. But his death was incredibly ordinary, not worthy of his talent and reputation. Elsewhere, Leon was questioned by a guard about a lost treasure. He said the sword wasn't even sold on the black market and threatened to torture Leon. Leon didn't waste time summoning the destruction sword at once. After winning a big prize from the boxing math contest, Nick, Curran, and Tiana went to a casino to try the Furious Grape ice cream, but unlucky it was sold out by the time they arrived. Tiana played for a while and beat all the chips from the other player. Danny was Agnes's boyfriend. After losing, he angrily accused Tiana of cheating, but she was no pushover and shot back that he just wasn't good at gambling. He got so mad at being called a cheater he wanted to explode, then left the table and went straight outside. The guy's girlfriend standing nearby was grateful to Tiana for pulling the gambling addict away. But soon after, he ran back in with a group of others because Leon had transformed into a monster after activating the sacred sword and scared them off. He escaped from prison and was rampaging around trying to find Nick after that loss. His heart was full of hatred and shame. When Tiana met him, she couldn't believe the monster standing before her was Leon. He threatened her to reveal Nick's location immediately. Tiana quickly reacted, telling him to capture her instead. That was a mistake because the survival expedition team weren't friends at all. They were just people who had lost all faith in life, and others banding together to earn some money to get by. He thought that made sense, so she took advantage, landed a sneak hit, then dashed out the door. However, he seemed unaffected by the hit. Seeing this, Tiana told Danny to quickly grab Agnes and get out while she faced Leon alone. She assured him Nick definitely wouldn't save her. He felt she was telling the truth. He didn't want to keep her around and invite trouble either, so he decided to end it with a sword strike. Just as they thought Nick wouldn't come, he appeared. So he decided to swing his sword to end it all. Just when they thought Nick wouldn't save her, he appeared. Kazuna also transformed into the Holy Sword to support him, sensing the presence of the Spirit Sword of Destruction, forcing Leon to use all his power. In an instant, Leon evolved into a fierce monster. Seeing this, Nick and Tiana decided to test their friendship's strength. Luckily, they both managed to merge into one supreme entity, a 2-in-1 warrior, and started trying to control Leon. Leon was gradually losing control of his own body. Though unwilling, he began to go berserk, and hurting innocent people in the casino. He fought against the Destruction Sword, trying to prove he wasn't evil. But in the end, he gave in to the Destruction Sword's hypnotic words. It exploited his dark emotions to benefit itself while Leon was vulnerable. Tiana and Nick immediately threw all the magic cards in the casino at him. That made him revert to his dark human form. Nick visited Leon in jail and said the Destruction Sword was sealed again. Both Nick and Tiana knew Leon had tried to resist so he wouldn't hurt innocent people. Even while being controlled, he went back in time once more. Now let's return to Agnes. She used to work in a bar and sometimes performed there. She had no idea that every night, a music producer would come by and you know what happened next. After he invited her to be an idol, and seeing other idols perform on stage, she knew this was the path she wanted. Everything felt perfect, until her boyfriend started changing his business failing, and he clung to her to get by. He kept borrowing money from her. Soon he became addicted to gambling. By coincidence at the casino one day, he met the gambling queen Tiana, not knowing the supreme being in front of him was... Tina and Nick merged into something new that began to blossom. Agnes started seeing those beings she idolized. She called that entity the Female Knight. After the casino accident, Donnie was given enough money. Anna would pay off all his debts on the condition that he break up with Agnes. According to the deal, he had to pretend not to know her if they ever ran into each other. Agnes held a concert marking her comeback. She thanked the goddess behind the scenes who helped her reconnect with fans. The goddess she meant was the merged entity of Nick and Tina. He didn't know how to face that. She started off by singing a song she wrote herself for that goddess. Meanwhile, a monster named Stepping Man was rampaging through the city. It made the citizens increasingly fearful. When Kizuna got interested in the monster, rumored to kidnap children, the others on the team thought it was just nonsense. But a reporter said she was very interested in the monster and asked them to contact her immediately if they found any signs of it. That night, Jem got drunk again and followed a little girl into a dark alley. Suddenly, the girl disappeared, as if something shadowy took her away. At the same time, Kizuna and Nick, after getting bored at the concert, they went home together. Suddenly, Kizuna sensed Jem was in danger. When they rushed over, they saw Jem defending the girl from Stepping Man, but Nick saw nothing. Only the white-haired boy with them saw Stepping Man. And that was it. So they had a small fight, but the monster escaped quickly. The three of them safely took the girl home. Then Jem asked her to tell them the whole story. She said her mother went out every night to fight Stepping Man, but unfortunately lost and ended up in a nursing hospital. The girl accidentally learned more and more kids were disappearing, but no one believed her mother. Jem said they had seen Stepping Man with their own eyes. Jem expressed he believed what Lena's mom said was true, which moved her deeply. The girl begged Jem to take her as his apprentice. She excitedly rushed to Jem but was stopped by Nick to avoid crushing the girl's dream. Jem told her she'd have to wait 15 years to become his apprentice. She happily agreed with the condition she couldn't come near him during that time. Lena gladly accepted. Jem said the important thing now was to rest and visit her mom tomorrow. His words carried weight. Lena obediently followed while the white-haired guy just complained it was boring. Stepping Man was his idol, and people were making such a mess. The next day, the group went to the city outskirts, the maze. They went to see a famous explorer, more of a bounty hunter than an explorer. Nick and his team entered to ask for more info about Stepping Man. But the Explorer Guild obviously wouldn't share info with strangers. The receptionist told his group that first, they had to complete an intermediate-level mission. That mission was to capture a man named Hugh. While discussing the reward, a young hunter named A.S. shouted that explorers were stealing jobs from hunters. He told them to go back to their hometown. While A.S. was ranting, Tina slammed down a sack of money. She bet Az that they would bring Hugh back to the guild. When the group arrived, the gatekeeper greeted them. He warned them to be careful and not to climb to Nagava. Then the group had to face a band of thieves and find a way to extract info from them. The deeper they went looking for Hugh, James grew increasingly worried about the extremely poor living conditions of the locals. Soon after, they found Hugh and easily captured him. As they tried to leave, Nagava blocked them, saying Hugh was his madman and was suffering from some illness. Nick told him that Hugh was a wanted criminal, forcing Nagava to let them take him. Kizuna took the chance to ask more about Stepping Man. However, Nagava wouldn't give any more info. Still, from Hugh's own mouth, they learned that a girl used to come here often. She gave candy to the kids in this area. Back at the guild, Tina used her winnings to treat everyone to drinks. The next morning, the Explorer Guild gave them their reward and reports related to Stepping Man. Olympia suddenly appeared and started questioning them. DM still didn't suspect anything after hearing Kizuna's story about meeting Stepping Man. Nick then turned to question Olympia, but when she was asked, she jumped onto the roof and escaped. All of Kizuna and Ada's efforts were wasted. Then Rena's mother, Adam, came to thank them. Apparently, she was part of a famous explorer family, and Nick said she was top tier. She also revealed she knew Filter and had gone with Filter's group to collect 10 platinum peach. Curran was shocked to hear her idol's name. Her eyes widened, afraid she misheard. When they all traveled together as kids now, she already has a kid. She brought her child to apologize for causing trouble. The girl's mother said the Stepping Man case should end here, and Nick agreed. Suddenly, Rena brought up how she became James's apprentice. Her mother didn't know this person was an AI, yet her daughter wanted to be his apprentice. He couldn't pretend anymore and admitted he had lost his fear of Lolas. The girl in his eyes was his enemy, understandably, because he used to be a cleric. Then he told the story of how he was tricked by a little girl and spent months in jail, then was exiled from his homeland. Every time he met a little girl, it was like poison to him. Talking to her was already better. She asked why he didn't just leave and save her. He gently replied that as an AI, he never would. He was also surprised by himself and thought one day he'd overcome his fear. After James shared his haunted past, everyone discussed how to catch Stepping Man. Nick asked Adam to teach him how to catch Stepping Man. She started by giving them a potion that helped them unlock their full magical potential. After some motivation, the group began training physically to jump higher into the air. One night, they confronted Stepping Man again, but he escaped once more. However, they began to suspect that Blipia was not Stepping Man. They seriously suspected Stepping Man was using some ancient magical device. Nick decided to visit Leon in prison. Leon, craving hot buns, told him about a tool called the Phantom King Jewel that lets users turn invisible and change forms. The way to counter it is actually very simple. You just have to face it after learning the user's name, then DM and Tiana. After investigating, they narrowed down Stepping Man's hideout. All clues led them to the outskirts again. However, this time the gatekeeper only gave them a bunch of unrelated info that killed the group's mood. Full of hope, they turned to leave. While walking through thick fog, Olivia suddenly jumped out and attacked Nick. Seeing the skills he learned to fight Steppingman, she started accusing him, saying he's the culprit. That many people are hunting Kizuna for. She tried using her skills alongside him, but he countered with her own signature move. Nick called out Olympia loudly but got no response, so the group decided to sit down and talk. Olympia confessed she really was a reporter and also Steppingman, but Steppingman was a title she got from working as a full-time explorer. After learning neither side was the Steppingman who kidnaps children, they decided to cooperate to find the real culprit. They went to the most recent victim's place, hoping to gather more clues. While examining the poor girl's body, DM found a small fragment of the Phantom King's jade left on her. After Olympia crushed the jade, piece marks and moles started appearing on the girl's body. The group also found signs that she was undergoing treatment for the yellow demon disease. After reviewing all cases, they realized all victims came from the same place. DM was shocked to identify the real culprit in the next scene. Nick was fighting Steppingman. He shouted his name, causing his disguise to shatter. A face appeared, not another AI, but the healer who was once Priest Nagava. The two fought evenly until Nagava fell into Nick's trap and got surrounded by his teammates. DM asked why he spread the disease. He said he lost his daughter to the yellow demon disease and worse people around. Gossiped that his daughter dated one guy after another, which is why she got the disease. Back then, people believed it was a sexually transmitted disease. In reality, she was infected when another patient with the same disease accidentally got blood on her during his apprenticeship. Not wanting his daughter's death to be meaningless, he continued researching a cure for the yellow demon disease at all costs, even if it meant sacrificing innocent children's lives. DM started scolding him, asking if he didn't think about the pain those kids and their families had to endure to do such evil things. He felt no remorse and just laughed, saying that no matter what they do, nothing will change. Then, a black-armored knight suddenly appeared, aiming to kill Nagava with a piercing energy beam through his chest. DM tried to jump in to heal him, but got thrown aside by the knight. Tiana and Khan heated up and rushed to attack the knight, but the knight threw her far away. Tiana and Khan also heated up and both rushed to attack the knight, but it was useless. Quickly, both were knocked out by him. Olivia suddenly appeared to help and called out. The knight was the White Mask. She actually blocked his sword with her hand. Then she kept attacking him, giving Nick a chance to synchronize with James in time. Realizing his opponent also had the White Mask treasure, he had to use a different trick. He trapped Olivia inside a red sphere, stopping her from interfering. This red sphere could create pressure inside, and will crush Olivia if she doesn't escape quickly. The 2-in-1 warrior wants to save her now, but is immediately blocked by the White Mask. Seeing they can't match his terrifying power, the two switch to using Nick's strength, which is speed, something the White Mask doesn't even dream of having. They distract the White Mask, making him lose focus, which weakens the red sphere's barrier. That helps Olivia break it easily and escape quickly. She runs over to distract him. The White Mask thinks he's got the upper hand, but gets stabbed in the face by the flying holy sword. Even the regional champ can get into college now, buddy. He's pretty pleased to have someone fight him evenly. He decides to leave for now. On the way out, he blows up the building. Seriously, have some mercy. Luckily, the others only get minor scrapes. However, Nagava's case looks serious. He knows his chances of survival are slim, or basically zero. If he's not killed by the White Mask's curse, the yellow demon disease will eat him alive. He tells the team to leave before the place collapses and decides to try magic to ease his pain before he dies. The group feels relieved to finally have solved the Steppingman case. But Olivia warns everyone about a bigger threat. The White Mask is still free and roaming out there. It's very likely he works for someone far stronger than himself, so Olivia advises everyone to stay on high alert. Then she reveals her true identity to them once again. She says besides being a reporter for Explorer Steppingman, she's also a weapon capable of fighting spirit-level demon gods, also called a martial swordsman. After closing the Steppingman case, the survivor team sinks into a strange sadness. Nick starts recalling the face of the thief who killed his parents. If not for Agos saving him, his parents' sacrifice would have been in vain. After saving him, Agos took him into his team to fight repeatedly. Even after being kicked out by Agos, Nick still keeps the broken knife he was given. Meanwhile, Deanne is opening a therapy clinic for the slum residents, basically continuing Nagava's legacy. Honestly, he's not sure if he's doing it for the late man or for himself. Either way, he loves helping people. Over there, Tiana wakes up multiple times at night and decides to gamble again to ease her mind. But it still doesn't satisfy what she truly wants inside. As for team member Kurin, she notices whenever she's with the team, she's cheerful and smiling. But alone, she feels deeply lonely, unable to forget the past or forgive Cardio. She wants him to pay. Because she stole the Long King's jewel, even though it was in her hands, she was out walking when she ran into that shady merchant again. He tried his old tricks on a young girl, but when he saw her, he turned pale and decided to let her go. At that moment, Nick and the team called her to join them at the festival. The team decides to hang out together for fun. Releasing old pressures to face new ones, Olivia suddenly runs up to catch them, but before she can say a word, Tiana loudly reads a flyer announcing the dark demon god has been resurrected. Olivia is no longer joking around. She seriously tells everyone the White Mask is definitely involved. She also says they should find the illusionary treasure jewel. But it turns out it's already been sold on the black market. Grab hears this and asks if the Long King's jewel is sold there. That's exactly what she's been looking for all along. To comfort her, the team decides to turn her personal mission into a group quest. That is to find the sacred treasure of the Long Clan Grab's family as a team mission. The survivor team gets excited again, preparing for the journey to hunt the new villain. In a small corner, Kazuna and Olivia have a private conversation. The purpose of their conversation is that these two are legendary treasures, so they will endure longer than mere survivors. Olivia thinks this expedition team lacks any ambition. Kazuna says they still have a long way to go in their training. They sharpen themselves to get better every day, but both firmly believe the survival team will defeat the dark demon god and save humanity.